My name is James Brian Hawley, but everybody calls me Brian. I guess you could say I'm a steamship historian. I buy and sell and collect ocean liner memorabilia, things from the famous passenger ships, mostly concentrating on the transatlantic passenger ships, the great liners. I research them, I've written books about them, I lecture about them. I studied Titanic for nearly 40 years, since 1984. They say it's the second most written about subject in the English language after Jesus. There's been more than 1,000 books written about Titanic. The shipwreck took 2 hours and 40 minutes, so there was a lot of time for drama. Unbelievable that Titanic is still taking lives today. We'll also almost certainly curtail research and dives to Titanic for several years to come, I think. But I'm just as fascinated with the old Queen Mary, the Lusitania, and a number of other famous ocean liners. I have my favorites. I've lectured, hundreds of times for school groups and church groups and retirement homes, and they often want me to lecture on the Queen Mary crossings. They like the history of Cunard, old cruises and old cruise ships and what that was like. I do the old Queen Mary, because without Queen Mary 1, we can't have Queen Mary 2. I do a lecture on all of the ships named after queens. I have written 2 books. One about the Coronia. They called her the millionaire's yacht. She took about 500, mostly Americans, on extremely lengthy cruises. I find the Olympic fascinating. She was the first of the class, Titanic's sister ship. She was about 10 months newer. She came out in 1911, not 1912. Nearly identical, but she's not tragic. She doesn't sink. She had a 24-year career. White Star Line and Cunard Line were arch rivals. And White Star was fairly mismanaged, not just sinking their most famous ships. And the Depression came along, and they were pretty heavily in debt and were weakened badly by mismanagement. So the British government forced Cunard and White Star to merge in a government bailout in 1934. It's actually a funny government bailout because it worked. All the money was paid back. It was a jobs program. They were trying to save all the shipyard jobs and the subcontractor jobs and the thousands of people who worked ashore and on the ships. And somehow, all of humanity and drama and interests are tied up in the liners. It's like a microcosm of society, and you can really go down the rabbit hole. It can be a fascinating thing. It can be a really fun thing. And it bites people. They get into it. If you do get into liners, you won't regret it, but also you can't get out. It's like quicksand. You want to know the next thing. You want to learn more. When I started collecting White Star Line China, because I'm fascinated with how the service was. What was the luxury like? What was it like to be on board Olympic or Titanic? Well, the next thing you know, you want a cup and saucer, and then you need the spoon to go with that, and then you want the napkin, and then you want a crystal glass, and it's endless. It's a tremendous amount of fun. It's like any collecting hobby, but you just can't, you really catch the fever.